Hey guys, Nick here, and welcome to my review of the brand new DC film Wonder Woman. And for any of you guys who know me on any level whatsoever, you guys know Wonder Woman has been one of my most anticipated movies of the year. And I've been a diehard fan of the DCEU. Despite all the negative backlash from Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad and stuff, I still love Man of Steel. I still love Batman vs. Superman. Suicide Squad, you know, again, I've said this before, but I don't love that movie as much as I did when I first saw it. You know, I see the flaws way more now than the first time around. But Batman vs. Superman is like the opposite. The more I see that movie, the more I love it. And because of that movie, pretty much, that movie introduced us to this new Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, and her portrayal of the character. And this movie was amazing. There wasn't a moment in this movie where I wasn't enjoying myself or I wasn't having fun and just enjoying what I was watching on the screen. And before I get into my detailed thoughts of the movie, I'm going to give a shout out to my fiance Amy, because you know I saw the movie last night, which was May 31st. We got early screening tickets through her work, and she got them for me as an early birthday present because today, June 1st, is my birthday. So she did that for me. And I think I mentioned this before, but she also got me those two Wonder Woman pops of Wonder Woman herself and Hippolyta. So I just want to give a shout out to my amazing fiance, Amy. So, you know, Amy, I know you're going to be watching this at some point, so thank you, and I love you. And so now into the film itself. Again, I loved every second of it. Gal Gadot did such a great job of portraying the innocence of Diana and showing us the good-hearted nature of who she is. And because there are times I'm watching a comic book movie and I'm like, okay, that interpretation doesn't feel like it's real, or it doesn't feel like it's being true to the comics. I know a lot of people could say that, like, oh, well, that's why I hated Batman vs. Superman, because, you know, that wasn't Superman, that wasn't Batman, but I didn't see that. Like, I can see, like, oh, they're taking this and this and this from the comics, but also taking it in a new direction. With Wonder Woman in this movie, this is Wonder Woman as she is pretty much any incarnation when she's first being exposed to man's world, and when Steve Trevor comes in and she rescues him, and he's being introduced to the Amazons and Themyscira. Like I say, all the stuff on Themyscira was great, and there's a few aspects of this movie that really reminded me of Man of Steel, especially the opening with Themyscira, and the way they were kind of explaining the history of the Amazons and Themyscira and explaining the Greek gods. Like, visually, it reminded me a lot of Man of Steel when Superman and Jor-El were in the fortress, or the scout ship, and they were kind of explaining the history of Krypton. It's very similar to that in that aspect. And I'm not going to get into any details because I don't want to spoil anybody, because this will be a non-spoiler review. I'll do another review for full spoilers later today. That I'll probably upload either later today or tomorrow, because it's still early Thursday, so not everyone has seen the movie yet, so it's still opening night. So a lot of people are going to be seeing it tonight and tomorrow and throughout the entire weekend, so I'll wait to do that. But again, there's just so much I loved about this movie. And obviously I'm a diehard DC fan, so I knew I was going to love it anyway, especially with all the positive critic response. And as someone who's been a fan of the DCEU, you know, I wanted this movie to be loved by critics. I want every movie to be loved by critics, but, you know, with Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad, critics really hated those movies. And it became hard for me after that to trust critics. I'm not saying, just because they don't like a DC movie doesn't mean I don't trust them, doesn't mean their opinions aren't valid. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just what has come out since the reviews of Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad is that there's been this, like, anti-DC narrative that the media has, you know, put out there, you know? So, like, I feel like the media is setting up the DCEU to fail. And, like, there are, like, rumors coming out last year, unsubstantiated rumors, that Wonder Woman was a mess and all these problems started by someone on the internet who had no reliable sources. She's like, oh, I heard from someone who said it's Wonder Woman's a mess, just like just like Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad. And yet, right now, has like Wonder Woman has like a 96% of Rotten Tomatoes. So I just feel like the DCEU is, like, I love it so much. I'm just tired of the anti-DC narrative that's out there. And I think they're, like, I'm not saying, like, Marvel's paying off critics or anything like that, because that's dumb. I know that's not the case, but people are going in with the bias, saying, like, thinking to themselves, this. Like, I'm not saying they went into this movie thinking it's gonna suck, But like I feel like for the most part they're setting them, like critics trying to set up the audience and themselves up to think, oh, every DC movie is going to be a failure. So that's why like I hate seeing that out there, because it's like I want these movies to be loved like the way I love them, and especially with Wonder Woman. And I'm so happy because it's the first female-led superhero movie directed by a female director. And I gotta say, Patty Jenkins did an amazing job directing this movie. Like, there were so many emotional beats to it, and just the way she developed the characters of Steve Trevor and Diana and their relationship, and how she directed the actors, and especially in Chris Pine. I think, in my personal opinion, this, from what I've seen of Chris Pine, I think this is one of my favorite performances he's ever given. Because there were so many layers to his character. He wasn't just there to be like Wonder Woman's love interest like he just is in the comics. Because in the comics, he's not exactly the most layered character, but he's just there to kind of be Diana's love interest. But in this movie, there was so much more because of his selflessness and his willingness to do what's right. And there's sometimes he does some kind of like morally gray things, but he's trying to make her understand that the world isn't as, you know, black and white as she might see, because she was believed to think that, oh, like things are so black and white, like, oh, like because like mankind is this way because of this, and I have to stop this. And that's kind of like Diana's drive throughout the entire movie, and Steve is trying to make her understand that like mankind kind of is the way it is because of themselves, and mankind, maybe there wasn't some sort of outside influence that influenced man to be evil. There are good men and there are bad men, and that's what he's trying to convey to Diana. And I thought that was handled really great, and again showing like having Diana face the harshness that is World War One. And there's so many moments in this movie where you feel like her heart's breaking because she has to deal with the realities of war. And for a superhero movie, I think it's dealing with the realities of war great. Like, unlike, I mean, I liked the first Captain America movie, don't get me wrong, because that movie dealt with World War II. But at the same time, I feel like that movie, like a lot of movies, I feel like they kind of like glamorize World War II in terms of the fighting aspects. Like, oh, us against Nazis, we're gonna knock the Nazis down and all that kind of stuff. But there are movies that do this, but movies in general, they have like meant to be like action movies. I feel like don't focus as much on like the harsh realities of war and the emotional and physical toll that it takes, and all the lives that are lost and the lives that are ruined because of war. And I think this movie does a great job of touching on that and having to again face that reality. And I think again the movie just handled that immensely great. And also I wanted to talk about the villain in this movie. Yeah, I'm not trying to spoil anything, because I read some reviews saying like, oh, the third act kind of falls off a little bit, and the villain wasn't all that great. To me, the movie flowed like it got better and better. It was like amping up to this great finale. So I didn't see any problems with the final act at all. I thought the final battle was great. There's one scene in what it's gonna be referred to as the No Man's Land scene, one of the best scenes in the movie. I loved it. I love the score of this movie. My only to being nitpicky, the only problem I have with this movie is the placing of Wonder Woman's theme, because I feel like a big action sequence would start and then the theme wouldn't appear until like the later end of the action sequence. You know, like the da na 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 na, like that theme song we've all come to know and love from Batman versus Superman. But other than that, I think the score was phenomenal. I can't even remember the composer's name off the top of my head. I apologize. I'll remember his name by the time I do my spoiler review. Like I said, the score was great. Again, so many aspects of this movie that I loved. Again, just from the action to the story to the emotional just beats to the movie. This movie was directed great, and it's a great installment to the DCEU, because and by the end of it, you feel inspired. You feel like there's hope for humanity, and especially because like this movie, it's so weird because I'm watching this movie, you know, obviously after having seen Batman vs Superman, and the Diana that we meet in this movie is way different than the Diana we meet in Batman vs Superman, because in Batman vs Superman, this is a Diana who, you know, has dealt with a lot, and she's seen the harsh realities of the world, and she's not as hopeful and as, you know, and as innocent as she used to be. She's dealt with the harsh realities of the world and the way it is. So she's more mature and a little more like world weary, if you want to call it that. So she's not like as like, oh, I'm gonna go fight all the bad guys. She's not like in that mindset anymore. But the way this movie ends, you can tell she has been inspired by, you know, the acts of Steve Trevor and all the people she's met. That there is hope in the world, and I think there's a very hopeful message to this movie. To me, very much so like Batman vs Superman to me, and how that movie ended. And I just loved seeing where we end up with Diana to where, and then where she started in the next movie. I love the way it was handled, her characterization. I love this movie so much. Again, from everyone in the cast, from Connie Nielsen to Robin Wright as, you know, Hippolyta, and Antiope, you know, Wonder Woman's aunt. All of that was handled great. All the characters, and the side characters were great. From Etta Candy to Steve Trevor's, you know, group of guys. I can't remember all their names off the top of my head. But they were all great. There wasn't a moment in this movie where I was like not enjoying myself or not having a good time or not being engaged by the movie. I'm not saying the movie's like a perfect movie, but it's damn near close to me. It's for what I want in a Wonder Woman movie, for spreading such hope and being such an empowering movie for women. And because it's directed by a female director, and because it's the first female-led superhero movie in a really, really long time that's actually good. You know, yeah, there was that 2004 Catwoman movie that was really bad. And then there was like that one Supergirl movie in the 80s, but this is different because this is 2017 and it's directed by a woman, and it's, again, a good movie. And I'm just so happy that the DCEU has this, again, ahead of Marvel, that has a good female-led movie that, you know, little girls and women can look up to and be like, that's my hero. And yeah, as a guy, I can say, oh, I have Batman and Superman, but I can say Wonder Woman's my hero too. I look up to her. She's a great example of what it means to be a good person and to be full of hope and promote love and hope and positivity. And that's one of the many aspects I loved about this movie, because you walk away feeling inspired by it. And not many movies can do that. And I again, very much so how I felt about Batman vs. Superman, and by the end of it, I felt very much so the same way as I did from that walking out of Wonder Woman. It was just very emotional and, again, very hopeful. And that's a good message for a superhero movie to have, and especially a movie of this caliber and of this scale. So I think with that being said, that's going to be it for me in this review. Again, I loved this movie from start to finish. From the action, from the story, from the emotional beats to it, from the performances by Gal Gadot, from the directing by Patty Jenkins. I love this movie so much. If I were to give it a ranking or a score, I would probably say I'd give it like a 9 out of 10. It was that good to me. I'm probably going to see it at least a couple more times. I love this movie. Even my fiance Amy loved this movie, and she's not a huge superhero movie fan. So if she likes it, then of course I know the general audience is gonna love it like I did. And I walked out of the movie with just so happy as a DCEU fan. And I know a lot of you guys are gonna feel the same way, and a lot of you guys are probably gonna feel the same way. So I hope you guys, if you guys love this movie, share with everyone. Go out and say, everyone go see Wonder Woman if you haven't already. It's that good of a movie. I would say it's worth the money you pay to go see it. I can't recommend the movie enough. Go out there, support the first female-led and female-directed superhero movie. This movie needs to succeed, and I know it will. But just go out there and support this movie as much as you can. So thank you guys for watching my review, and until next time, have a good one.